you know, we are living in a generation, we call it the third generation, where something becomes in fashion. You know, a fad is something that comes into being, it reaches its peak very quickly, and it goes, evaporates faster than how it's just appeared. Just like fashion, just to give a background of what you are saying, because I'm agreeing with what you're saying. You know, something that was a hot topic, you know, when we started there, no one is wearing it now. You know, we are living in that kind of generation where if you're a fashion fanatic, you have to always be on your tiptoe, because you can't be wearing something that you're wearing in January. You know, people have already moved on. So we are that third kind of a generation where something comes in, we are aroused with curiosity. You know, we go with the flow. Everyone wants to be involved. Everyone wants to have a say. We post it in social media, and tomorrow we wake up and we forget about it. So the society, there are people that have been, I believe, they've been working in the background for quite a long time to bring this issue of mental health on the scene. So it is now there, you know, people are talking about it freely, because remember, mental health was very stigmatized, you know, in our parents, in the society that we are living in. When we were growing up, you could not freely talk about mental health, you know, because people just associate it with someone that is you know, mentally ill, like, you know, they have lost their five senses. So now it has come into light, and people are understanding that, okay, mental health is more than that. Depression is part of it, burnout is part of it, and, you know, all those things. But now people are, you know, people are over looking the background of it. You know, everyone just wants to be involved, and, you know, people are not really taking it serious. So I just want to say that mental health should not and is not a fad. As long as people are alive, as long as we go through life, as all of us do, mental health is part and parcel, is the part and parcel of our lives, right? So we have to come to a point that people understand that the same way that, you know, we need to go for a check-up in the hospital, the same way that you make sure that you feed your body, you are well, that is the same way that you need to continuously take care of your mental health. So that being said, it's a process. I think you've seen from what I've been saying that, yes, it's already a process. It's not a 1 day, it's not a 2-day thing. It's an ongoing thing, issue. So it is not as obvious as for making it to be able to identify what is going on with yourself, and let alone someone else. You know, you can just be depressed for days, you can be in a bad mood for weeks, you can feel tired for months, and not even know that it is a mental issue that you need to address. You can wake up and you feel like I'm throwing in the towel, or everything, that life is not making sense anymore, I've lost my sense of purpose, and not even know it, you know, that you are dealing with mental issues, because it's an ongoing process. So let's start with individual. So I always say, when it comes to mental issues, you need to be someone that is authentic. I love that word. You need to be authentic, someone that is true to yourself. You know, there's one person that always says to me, tell yourself the truth. There's no greater love than that. So you need to be someone that tells himself or herself the truth, you need to know who you are. Self-identification. That is where we start with when we talk about mental health. The reason why this is important is that you need to know that as Queen Tsakani, I'm a reserved person. I'm an introvert. Who I am. So irregardless of being around outgoing people or having extroverted people, you need to know that, okay, maybe I'm an introvert person. You know, I just enjoy lazy days. I enjoy being, in quiet company. Okay, myself, you start with the simple things. Myself, I'm a night owl. I like to push through the day, through the night before I sleep. So I sleep around 12, around 1. Or I'm an early bird kind of a person. This is who I am. It comes naturally to me. Okay, I'm a fast eater. I'm someone who doesn't eat much. I'm a neat person. I love my environment to be squeaky clean. Or I'm someone who's comfortable with things lying around. So self-identification is the first thing. So this is a process because we have people that are 50 years, 60 years, they don't really know who they are. They let their friends define who they are to them. So you need to know yourself. That's the first thing. So after you know yourself, when life gets to you, usually self is going to change. There's something, whether it's minor, whether it is big, self is going to change. So we are saying this introverted Queen Tsakani, when pressure comes, changes are going to be evident. You'll see that probably you start being overly talkative, suddenly you want to go out, you are not a big spender, all of a sudden you want to overspend, you're not a big eater or you're a big eater, all of a sudden food doesn't make sense to you. So those changes that come when life happens, because they are going to be indications or first degree markers to say that, you know what, there is something that is wrong with me. So be able to know yourself so that when changes come, you'll be able to tell yourself the truth and say that there's an issue. Now, when it comes to mental health, the reason why people don't discover that they're going through a mental phase is that people tend to think that mental health is that stage where I go to the doctor and get medication. Not knowing that a simple thing like a mood disorder that goes on for months is a mental issue. Yes, you can be in a bad mood 2 or 3 days. That is part of life. But, being in a bad mood for months and months is something that needs attention. A burnout, where you are feeling tired all the time, not just 1 or 2 days or 1 week, but almost all the time coming from work, is a mental issue. So people tend to neglect the small things, thinking that I'm fine. So knowing yourself, identifying the small changes, will be able to tell you and tell us that, you know what, there's a mental issue that is happening here. Let's get down to work. So that is how you deal with self. And quickly about dealing with others. If you're not a professional, it might be a little bit hard, but since these are friends and family, and we live in a society where we encourage the spirit of Ubuntu, oneness, caring for each other, it's good to also be able to help others and identify and point them in the right direction. Yes, that is very, very advisable, though it can be done to a certain limit. But if you know these people, so it all comes again to the issue of self-awareness. So you know these people, you know your family members, you know your parents, you know your children, you know your siblings, you know your workmates, you know how they conduct themselves on a very normal day in and day out. And all of a sudden you see them, they are very active people. In the morning they're running, at lunch they're still running, when you're about to knock off to go home they're still running. They're hyperactive people. All of a sudden they feel sleepy and sloppy. That's an obvious indication of that something that is wrong. So when it comes to mental issues, yes, especially the people that we know, these are people that are within our reach. As soon as we identify changes, simple changes, don't wait for it to be a big change, a suicide note, or anything. As soon as you identify simple changes in their pattern in life and in lifestyle, it can be an indication that something is going on. And then you can either talk to them, sit down, talk to them, or refer them to someone that they look up to and trust. So it all starts with self-awareness.